York City School Board of Education regular meeting being held at the Roosevelt Administrative Offices, and we have started on time at 6:30. Jeff, call roll, please.
Mr. Flowers? Here. Mr. Carr?
Here.
Mr. Harden?
Here.
Ms. Nickam?
Here.
Mr. Blind?
Here.
Quorum of 5.
Tim, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, under resolutions and recognitions. Okay, we have probably our best friend tonight, isn't she?
Wonderful. Always a good friend. Always a good friend, a special friend tonight. Fifth, Kim Lutz from State Farm, and she's going to present a few checks tonight. So I'll let you go ahead and take over.
Thank you, thank you. Board members and guests, it's a pleasure for me to be here today representing State Farm. We are very excited to be able to award a couple of grants today to two organizations. Back in 1995, State Farm awarded our first grant to the A Call to College program, and we have supported A Call to College since then. And I went through today and looked up some numbers, and it's just over $83,000 that we contributed financially to the A Call to College program in support of juniors and seniors and everyone that comes through the program and the opportunities that that program provides them. So I'm here tonight to award a couple of grants to A Call to College. One is for $4,000, and that grant will support the ACT test prep program for high school juniors. When the program started, and Diana Lard will probably give you some great details about this, but when the program started in 2006, only 7 juniors took the ACT test. Last year, and I would like to think that due to some of the State Farm funding, they were able to put 190 juniors through the ACT program, the ACT testing that they do in the spring, and then this year they expect over 200 high school juniors will take advantage of that opportunity. So I'm pleased to be able to award that $4,000 grant to A Call to College for the ACT test prep program. Then we also have a $15,000 check for the PEAK program that's run through A Call to College as well. And the PEAK program, as you probably know, stands for Providing Early Awareness and Knowledge. This starts in the elementary school with the 4th grade, and then in the middle school, the 8th graders, providing age-appropriate financial literacy programming. And then it also supports the junior high, or the middle school kids, junior high, when I was in junior high, the half-day workshops to the works, and then also the reality store that they do each year at the middle schools. So I've got 2 checks totaling $19,000 for the A Call to College program. And with all the fanfare that goes with that, the big check as well.
Any board members know about it? That's the cash.
These guys know you.
Gotta get your picture with the check. That's yours to hang on to, and here's the real ones. I guess I give those to you probably, right? Well, those are probably to Diane, so I'll let you hang on to those. Okay, okay. I've got one more, and this is for the, formerly known as the CTAG program. A couple of years ago, Dava and at the time Josh Duvall came to State Farm and made a presentation to us about their program and the work that they were doing. And that presentation was to a group of our leadership, and we were so impressed with what they were accomplishing and their future goals that we decided at that time to award them with a grant of $10,000. And that was 5 years ago, I think. So we're here once again to be able to support, I know it's not called CTAG anymore, but old habits are hard to break. So for me, that's going to be the program. But this grant will provide some opportunities for students to have some out of classroom experiences, experiential trips. They do a lot of programming with families, as you know. So this helps them achieve their goals and be able to accomplish some of the programs that they've set forth to accomplish. So I'm proud to present our check for $10,000 to Newark City Schools for, what's it called now?
AOS.
AOS program, there you go. Oh. You wanted to say anything? Or, no?
Well, first year in, I want to thank you for allowing us to continue the program. The kids are excited. They can't wait to continue to use your funds. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, too. State Farm has done a lot for us. They provide our exposure trips, experiences, and even mentors to a few of our students. We've done pen pals in the past, and they always look forward to them coming in the classroom. So thank you very much.
Our pleasure. You know, these collaborations not only help the schools, but it also helps our community. And I know I'm preaching to the choir when I say strong schools lead to strong communities. And so on behalf of State Farm, an office of probably 1,200 employees over on Granville Road and a dozen or so agents here in Licking County, it's my pleasure to present these grants to Newark City Schools.
Thank you from all of us, again, to you and the good people at State Farm, or should say the good neighbors at State Farm. You do many more things for us than just donate money. We really appreciate it. So thank you.
Any special reports? We will move on to communications from the floor. If anyone would like to speak, please move to the podium, give your name, your address, and you'll have up to 5 minutes.
I am Beth Brown. I live at 16 Cameron Drive in Granville, Ohio. I just have a few things that I would like to share with you all this evening. I did write everything down because I could go off on a tangent if I don't, so I'll do my best. I started my career as a teacher in 1977, and I've been at Newark City Schools for the last 15 years, having taught in 2 districts prior to that. As a teacher, I've worked for 12 different head principals, and I didn't try to count the assistants, but if I did, the number would be more than double that. So I spent a lot of time in the last few weeks thinking about Mark Fullen leaving, and I'm more than a little apprehensive about a replacement for him. But as staff members, we seldom get the opportunity to talk to you, share with you our feelings about our boss and what he does for us. So I don't want the school year to end without having that opportunity. And since I'm not really sure about the next board meeting, I thought I would just take care of that this evening. At the beginning of Mr. Fullen's 3rd year, he came in the midst of a lot of different things going on, and first time I met him was a little bit disconcerting because he said something to me I wasn't exactly sure what he meant, but anyway, I walked away from that and you know, kind of passed him in the hallways and, you know, sometimes made eye contact, sometimes didn't. People who know me don't believe that I'm not very outgoing, but I'm really not until I know somebody. So, the 3rd year that Mr. Fullen was there, I was working in my classroom prior to school starting, and I got this message that he wanted to see me in the office. His office had just moved into my building, so I was kind of wondering what the heck was going on. At that time, I was the only NTA faculty rep of the whole staff. I was the only one for the high school. And I walked into his office, and all the assistant principals were there, and I was like, whoa, what's going on, you know? And he pretty much looked at me and said, you're the NTA faculty rep, right? And I said, yes. And he said, well, I hear there's been some complaints. And I said, huh? You know, he says, well, I hear there's been some complaints about stuff going on at the high school. And he said, you know, I don't want complaints to go to the NTA meetings about the high school. And I don't want that to happen. I don't, and he said, so I'll make you a deal. He said, if you come to me, or one of the rest of us, if you come to me and tell me what's going on, let's try to fix it so that it doesn't have to go any further than the high school. We want to take care of everything in-house. And I was sitting there shaking in my boots because all of them were there, and I'm like, whoa, okay. So I said, all right, I can make you that deal. And when I walked out of there, I was walking a foot off the ground, because no principal had ever really come to me and asked anything like that from me before. And I was like, okay. So several times in the next school year, I'd walk into his office and I'd say, okay, I have my NTA hat on. And I would tell him what was going on, and we would fix it. As I continued to be a faculty rep and more people came, I told all of them, and I said, this is how we fix things here. And he said, okay. And they said, okay. And since that time, we have not had any problems go any further that Mr. Fullen had the ability to control. And I think that speaks very highly of what he did for us. Things that he couldn't control are things like plumbing and technology and stuff like that.
You have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. The other thing is that since he's been there, he's had some really big challenges. He had dress code, implementing the dress code, construction. The biggest one was the implementation of all the testing we've had and the teacher's evaluation system. And the one thing that he said to us through all of these things was, we'll get through it. It's okay, we'll get through it. There's going to be bugs, we're going to have to work them out. And that to me, and to the rest of, quite a few of my colleagues, is the mark of a good leader, because he knows what we're going through. He listens to what we have to say. We don't always agree with all of his decisions, but he has tried his best to put us all at ease. He comes around every morning that he's at school to say hello to every classroom. And when he doesn't do it, kids miss that. So I guess I just wanted you to know that I have appreciated the time he's been there, and I felt privileged to work for him. Thank you.
Thank you. One thing I will say, Beth, is I've known you since junior high, and you say you're not very outgoing. I don't think,
No, not until I know somebody.
Treasurer's recommendations, Jeff.
Item 2A, it is recommended the minutes of the following board meetings be approved as shown in the appendix. March 9th, 2015 regular meeting, March 23rd, 2015 special meeting. Item 2B is approval of March 2015 financial reports, including $2,076.97 in interest received. Our general fund balance is $25,920,000. Bond retirement is $2,130,000. Permanent improvement is $1,650,000. Building funds $100,000. Food services $1,380,000. OSSC project locals $120,000. OSSC project state share is $1,610,000. Insurance reserve is $2,620,000. Classroom facilities, repair maintenance, $2,600,000. Miscellaneous other is $990,000, for a total of $39,110,000, or $118,877.84, which agrees with the bank. This is normally the period of the year, period of time where our balances are as high, but we received the complete first half taxes being paid, and I've received all those from the county auditor. So, a good balance right now, but it will go down. Approval of fiscal year 2015 permanent supplemental appropriation resolution. The special trust 007 increase at $1,050. 018 public support $3,516. Other grant $1,500. Alternative education challenge $1,790. Title I and Title IIA is being reduced by the state $3,638.58 and $4,470.36. I gave you a little more information in the printout that I gave you to look at. If you got any further questions, you can ask me when we get ready to approve this. Item 2B is approval of transfer of funds. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the following transfer of fund. That's $412,881. That's the amount that we have to transfer every year into the maintenance of our new buildings as required by our OSFC agreement. So that's what that $412,000 is. You see it once a year, do it at this time of the year every year to keep that fund up and funded.
Okay, we have a motion. Questions, comments, discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Ms. Nickam?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to backtrack. I missed that there's another gentleman who wanted to speak. We did not turn in that direction, so we're going to go back to.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I was waiting for another offer there. Hello, my name is Jay DeVries. I have one child at Heritage Middle School and 5 at Carson Elementary this year. I would like to let the school board know, as a teacher suggested, an error I found while helping one of our fourth graders in the park assessment pretest. I'm not sure if the error is happening in other curriculum along with this, but this is where I found it at. When it was giving a dimension for a problem in metric, which is unfamiliar with a lot of people in the United States, it was using fractions. Here's a little history to support my claim. In 1875, the Treaty of the Meter was developed, which the United States was one of, I do believe, 17 nations involved in signing. In 1960, an update was approved. The new meter system is called the International System of Units, which has been abbreviated to SI. This SI system is used throughout our government, still used today with our full government use, federal government, military, everything. According to the U.S. Metric Association, one of the SI standards is no fractions are used. So I asked the board on what measures can we make to have this corrected. And if this does need more time to give me an answer, I understand. Do your own research or call who you need to, math professor, higher state board. But I would request that a response be in some form of a letter back to me on what your decision or what your findings are to educate myself and my children.
It's the fourth grade test.
This is a 4th grade. I'm not for sure. It was one of my 4th graders brought it. When I asked one of my others, they said that they thought they had fractions also when brought meter. Simple solution would be to eliminate the meter, which might also, the phrase meter, but that could also create more confusion because we do not use tenths in our standard measurements in the United States, which I'd be more than happy if you could talk them into really switching, but I don't think that's going to happen. We've tried multiple times for a government.
And you say this was in the pre-test?
Yes, this is in a pre-test, so I'm assuming it's happening other places also. So, but thank you.
Yeah, we will check into that.
Did I give my address? I apologize if I didn't.
We can get it off our system. We'll get a call and
All right.
put it in writing.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's going to be a state developed pretest, correct?
Yes, well, locally we develop a pretest, so it could have been either one. So we have some things, but we will check into that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for making you wait too.
No, that's all right.
Okay, Doug, superintendent's recommendations.
Okay, under personnel, retirements, resignations, John Johnson, who had already turned in his retirement, amended his date to the end of June because of makeup days that go into June. He wanted to be there for his students. Under item 3, appointments, assignments, we have Tommy Brent, who is a health aide at Liberty, and that does go along with she is an LPN, and our movement to get a minimum of an LPN in each building for that need. We have supplemental contracts on their salary position adjustments. Jennifer Falk, who completed her master's degree. We moved up Craig Guard under custodian 2. And item 7, substitutes. We continue, this is a tough area for us. It's going to continue to be a tough area as Ohio State changed their program, their master's program, so that cut a lot of subs out, but we are always looking for good substitute guest teachers. Under other, staff returned from leave of absence. Nicole Bowers, who's a speech therapist, will be coming back. We also have approval of extended day service for the next school year. Approval of reappointment of substitute teachers. Recommended that substitute teachers as shown in the appendix be approved for the 2015-16 school year. And public notices, there are 2 public notices on retire, rehire. Judith McNish, or Judy will, I think it might be her 3rd year over at Blessed Sacrament. Because she's hired by us, but the funds are auxiliary funds given to the state, to the New York City schools for that purpose. And then Jeff Petrie, who is a school psychologist, yes, right there. And this will be the 2nd year for Jeff. Does a fantastic job for us. Items 1 through 8.
Motion?
Second.
Comments, questions, discussion? I will say that on these subs, that the ones listed for non-re-employed, it's not that they will not be back, it's just they have taught over 60 days, and we have to go through the formality of saying they won't be back full-time, and then they're still eligible for substitute. Any other comments or questions?
Mrs. Nickam?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, under curriculum, we have special ed contracts to approve. Also B, therapy service agreement with the Learning Spectrum, who we've used in the past for autism spectrum disorder. Under item 6, approval of the drug testing service, $12,000, which is what the board has been doing the last 3 to 4 years since their grant ran out. And that allows us to test roughly 50, 60 kids a month in the high school and in the middle school. We had our last one today over at the high school here, Line Acres. So items 1 through 6.
Motion?
So moved.
Comments, discussion?
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
Ms. Nickam?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Point of order, I want to make sure that item C1 will be noted in the minutes as being $10,000 for Newark City Schools and $20,000 for Calder College. I need to do that for audit tracking, because if they see 30,000 Newark City Schools there, these 2 checks were made out for Calder College, not to me, so I can't account for them. All right? So will be noted in the minutes, split 20,000 Calder College, 10,000 Newark City Schools.
That will be our next motion.
Okay.
Yeah, under gifts, and again, we appreciate Kim coming in tonight and everything that State Farm does for not only our school, but our community. We have a great group of people, and as Dave and Terrell mentioned, how fortunate we are in that program to have those kind of funds to do extra things for our students. And I think it should, we'll not have to check the checks, it might reflect in the minutes $10,000, and then I think it's actually 29, maybe not 30. She came in tonight, or do I need correct?
It was 4.
It was 4 to 15.
4 and 15.
19.
So it's 19
and 10, yeah.
Yeah, 19 and 10, 10,000 coming to school, so.
Probably need a separate motion to do that, correct?
Yeah.
I second. Any discussion?
That was Mr. Carr, correct?
Yes.
Okay, Jeff, call the roll.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Ms. Nickam?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
And then under other, have one item, and that's approval of agreement with Catapult Learning. Recommend the Board of Education approve contract as shown in the appendix with Catapult Learning to provide instructional services in reading and math at Blessed Sacrament School effective 8/1/2015. Newark is a fiscal agent for this contract through auxiliary.
Same as Judy McNeil, it's passed through funds.
Right. Those monies come into Jeff to be used for that purpose.
Have a motion?
Sure.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Ms. Nickam?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
Mr. Bly?
Yes. Which brings us to my least favorite part, because you guys get to listen to me for a little while here. Intent to adopt board policy. If anybody wants to go out and refreshments or anything, this would be the time. How are you guys feeling? It is recommended the Board of Education announce its intent to adopt the following policies as shown in the appendix. An announcement be made that these policies will be available to the board, the staff, and the public for inspection from April 14, 2015 through May 11, 2015. The SALT Committee file 2114, meeting state performance indicators, and the policy removal. File 2260, non-discrimination and access to equal education opportunities. File 2260.01, Section 504 ADA, prohibition against discrimination based on disability. File 2413, career advising. File 2430, district-sponsored clubs and activities. File 5114, non-immigrant students and foreign exchange students. File 5340, student accidents. File 5460, graduation requirements. File 8330, student records. File 8390, animals on district property. File 8400, school safety. File 8405, environmental health and safety issues. File 8500, food services. File 8540, vending machines. File 8550, competitive food sales. And File 8660, incidental transportation of students by private vehicle. D, adoption of board policies. It is recommended the Board of Education adopt policies listed below as shown in the appendix and as announced at the March 9, 2015 meeting of the Board of Education. From the SALT Committee, File 2210, curriculum development. File 2430.02, participation of community/STEM, STEM school students in extracurricular activities. File 2510, adoption of textbooks. File 2520, selection of instructional materials and equipment. File 5330, use of medications. File 5336, care of students with diabetes. File 5830, student fundraising. File 8462, student abuse and neglect. And File 9211, district support organizations. Do we have a motion to approve? Any discussion?
Sure.
Everybody's.
I'm on the SALT committee, and this is my opportunity when we adopt these policies to remind everybody that most of these policies are not of origin here locally. They are in response to some great idea that someone in Washington or in Columbus had that sounds innocuous, like we're not going to abuse and neglect children, or we're not going to have competing food sales, or we're not going to, do something else that's really horrible. But what they really do is they just pile more and more regulations on our schools. They make it so that it's very, very difficult for us to understand the real rules we're supposed to operate on. They make it more and more difficult for our teachers to do the job of teaching schools. They turn our administrators into people who have to enforce policies instead of making sure kids get good education. So this is, along with standardized testing, has sort of become one of my pet frustrations with this because My message to people in Washington and Columbus would be just stop. We get it. We don't neglect children. This school does a great job of educating our students, and we do it all in spite of these types of regulations. Bev and I sit on this committee, and previously, who was on it with me previously? Whoever was on it with me previously, Cam Bybee, and we'll say, well, that's not a very good idea. That's horrible language. That doesn't work. And the answer is always, we don't have any control over that. We have to adopt this policy. So these are not policies that we sit around and we come up with. They're stuff that get handed down to us without money, by the way, attached to enforce any of this stuff. And we're just simply responsible for taking care of it. And it's very frustrating, but we have to adopt this. So, yeah.
Is that going to be like a begrudging yes?
Yeah. I guess you have to. Any other comments, questions?
Okay, Jeff, call the roll, please.
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
Ms. Nickam?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes. Brings us to board discussions. Mr. Blackwell, start your end.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Matt Brown, for getting up and speaking. I understand what it means to have a good leader, and a connection for teachers. I understand. I'd like to thank Kim Loss, State Farm Insurance. It's really wonderful to live in a community where so much is given back to the community. And I have to say that's not the case in most school districts. So it's a wonderful thing. And one last thing, we're, as teachers, I know, and administrators, we are ending up the school year a lot to wind down, and at the same time, we're getting geared up for next year. So there's an awful lot going on. But the sun is shining here pretty soon. Okay, thank you.
Well, it is wonderful to see the weather starting to break. Not as worried about getting a call from Seth at 5:30 in the morning. And they were very appreciated by my children, however, whenever you call. But there's a lot going on in our district. The sports, the arts. It's the end of the year. The fifth graders will be having their ceremonies, the kindergartners theirs, of course the graduations, the kids are gearing up for that, and all of that when the weather breaks. It's a wonderful community. It's a good time to be a cat. My friend, thank you for coming and sharing with us. It's citizens who are concerned about the education in the schools and that their kids are getting. That makes a difference. It helps keep everybody sharp. And in the back, the job you guys are doing, tremendous helping kids who need just a little extra. They need the education just a little different way. And you guys are doing a great job. And so, again, it's a great time to be a cat.
This week, I had the opportunity to attend the National Technical Honor Society induction at CTEC. I'm pleased to report there were several of those students inducted into that association, so congratulations to those students. And also, thank you to State Farm. As we know, I actually work at State Farm also, and through my work in the school district and on the board over the years, I've always appreciated what State Farm does for the community. So when I had an opportunity to accept a position there 3 years ago, I was very excited and very proud to work there. So thank you to State Farm this evening for your donations.
The Spring OASBO, Ohio Association of School Business Officials Conference begins tomorrow night. I'm very proud and honored to be representing Newark City Schools at that conference, and I'm always thrilled to stand up and say I'm from Newark, and there's a lot of people always ask me a lot of questions about things going on down here. So thank you, the community, for letting me serve. Thank you to the board for letting me serve.
I would also like to thank State Farm, and sitting here watching Kim speak, it just always makes me feel blessed that we're in a community where so many good people help out, not just individuals, but businesses, and companies that are committed to doing the right thing. And with that, they call it college program. And we were talking to them where we had not so many kids that were taking the ACT prep classes and taking advantage of that. And to have over 200 students as a compliment to our staff at the high school and the college working together to do what's right for kids. And so we thank State Farm for their donation to help out there. I was going around today and I saw a trophy that was about 3 foot high from a track meet this weekend, middle school track, and started asking, how many kids do we have involved? There are 58 students from Heritage, close to that from Liberty, and a little, not quite that number from Wilson, but it wasn't long ago we sat here and had about 24, 25 middle school track participants. And that's just one example. I'm sitting because I'll be at the play Thursday night. I know some of the others will be going there. We've got all the other performances scheduled here in the next 6 weeks coming up. And one of the things, not only the quality of the performance, but look at the number of students we have involved. It's pretty impressive that our kids are taking advantage of those things. So, as you noticed, Barb Morrow-Mendy, we haven't had a curriculum question for months. And our curriculum director's out recruiting, and we have a curriculum question tonight. We'll get to that. We've had a group of them at OU today recruiting. We'll be at Ohio State this week, Bowling Green this week, and really getting a head start on some other districts to bring in over 30 quality people for next year. So we've got to start on next year. And as Tim mentioned, it is a great time to be a cat.
Speaking of a great time to be a cat, it's old news by now, but the first time we've met since the girls' basketball team went to the state and the boys went to the regionals, so congratulations are in order there. As everyone else, I'd like to thank State Farm. Those type of gifts allow us to do so much more for our students. It's just amazing the support we get in this town. Matt Brown, thank you for coming and speaking. Even though you're shy, it's hard. So, Mr. Reese, appreciate your input. We will get that checked out and get back to you. I have to say, it's sort of embarrassing as an accountant that metrics are so far beyond me. I just sort of sit here and listen and go, okay.
All you got to know is tens.
Yeah, as an accountant, that should be easy for me, but I've never grasped it. And also, I believe we have an auction Saturday, don't we? 10 o'clock here. So if anybody's got $850,000 burning a hole in your pocket, come bid on the land on Dio Drive, and we would be more than happy to sell it to you. So with that, pardon? Yeah. Well, glad to accept anything from there on up that you feel like paying. With that, I would accept a motion that we adjourn to executive session, the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of an employee and or the purchase of property for public purposes or the sale of property at competitive bidding, and we do not anticipate any additional business being taken once we return.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Nickam?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Timeout, 7:09.